We have finally made it to the last episode of this series. Continuing from the previous video, it was 2014 and I had just turned 20 years old. At this point in my life, it had been 2 years after high school. I was still in Wright College. At this point, two significant events that I can recall happened in my life. The first one, I was working at Best Buy. During that winter, I had gotten into my first somewhat real relationship, and I put that in quotes for a specific reason. Looking back at it now, I can safely say that was probably a good experience in my case because I was young, 20 years old. This girl was what you would call a hipster. That lasted about like 6 to 8 months. It started where like the girl liked me a lot and I was like growing. Halfway through, it's like we had like a month or two where it was great, and that was like during the summer, and then it just like I ended up liking her a lot. She was kind of over me. Looking back on this relationship, I do want to say that I am glad that that happened to me at that age. Little did I know that was a life lesson that I needed. Just off that one fling that I had with this girl, it made me pump the brakes on having a relationship and really opening my eyes to actually seeing what's important in life. I think it was like a year and a half that I was already working with Best Buy, and that was my first job ever. And I was getting paid like $8, I want to say like 69 cents, something like that. It got to the point where like I had asked for a raise. I realized how retail just completely sucks. Believe it or not, they were like, okay, we're gonna bump you up 11 cents. I was like, excuse me? You're talking about a dime and a penny? Like that's how much I'm worth to you? At that point, the relationship had fallen off. At this point, once I got that raise, I was in shock because I was like, I know I'm worth more than 11 cents. I called work and I told them, you know what? I'm gonna take some personal time. Didn't go into work for like a week and a half, and all I did every single day was apply. And this was something that clicked in my head till this day, and it's something that I think I will always live with, which is the trait of being money hungry. I started applying to banks, and the bank that I always wanted to work at was JP Morgan Chase. The problem with them was you had to work at a different bank. I applied to like what I consider like an entry-level banking position, and that was working with TCF Bank. I was lucky enough to work at the one on Harlem and Chicago. It was just a whole different experience. I made that jump. I went back to Best Buy. I told my manager, he already knew when I came in, he was like, you're done working here, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, I knew it, but he's like, you're gonna do good in life. And I shook his hand. I said, thank you for the opportunity. I start my new job, and then 2015 comes, and along that was my 21st birthday. I was celebrating my golden birthday. Thanks to my sister Kelly, she took me out to my first bar experience. It was a fun night. We ended up going to the casino, and I remember she was like, oh, what's your, drink of choice? And I told her at that point I was into Jack Daniels and Coke. It was at this point where I realized like, wow, I'm 21. There's nothing much moving forward that I have to look for except for like being 25 where my insurance gets lower, or, turning 30. Going back to 2015, at this point in my life, I was just focused on two things: getting my degree and getting money. All the stuff with women, I literally put that to the side before closing out that year. I didn't go to my college graduation. The fact that I had a choice, I'm here just for my degree. I paid the fee, I got my degree, and I took it straight to my parents, and I was like, here's the first one. At this point, it was 2016. I had turned 22. I had money in my pocket. So what do I decide to do? Travel. That year, I took 2 vacations. I was working 2 jobs, still going to school, and enjoying life. Middle of that year, 2016, I remember going to bed one day during that summer, laying in my bed, closing my eyes, and talking to myself in my head. It was because I was just tired of like what I was doing. I was working at these part-time jobs, do a small business, which I did through the app Turo, was running that, and I was working like 3 part-time jobs at one point for like a span of 3 months, and that was just like I was getting checks every single week. I was a working machine, and at the same time I was still going to school trying to finish my bachelor's. I don't want to say I crashed, but I got to the point where I was like, okay, what is life about? I was just trying to figure out life. As a 22-year-old, I didn't know anything. And I'm 26 right now, I still don't know anything about life. It's just happening and I'm rolling with the punches. But I had to sit back and say, what do I want for me and what do I want for my life? One of the conversations I remember vividly having with myself was, okay, if I'm 80 years old, let's say I wake up right now and I'm 80. What do I want to leave behind to my family and what do I want to leave back regarding my legacy? While asking myself this question, keep in mind, I wasn't doing YouTube. Like, there was a span for a couple years where I literally just took off. Like, I didn't have any channels. I just wanted to live my life. If you're noticing a difference in this video, just know that I turn on the other set of lights that I have in my kitchen. Now going back to the story, it wasn't much about having a YouTube channel. It was more about me creating content. The answer that I came up with was, I want to look back at 80. I love doing this. I love talking to a camera, even though that sounds weird. I enjoy this. I enjoy the process of me, making a 5-part series about my life, sharing it with you, or making a series with my friend, or making a one-man show. I enjoy doing this. And the fact that there's this thing called YouTube, I want to be able to share my life, my story, not only me and my family and, the ones around me, but with everyone else, to just show you that I'm no one different. I'm just a guy living life, trying to figure it out every single day of my life. At this point in 2016, moving on to this point right now, you guys have seen part of my life through the lens. I like that. It makes me happy. It makes me happy going out with the camera and shooting a video. This is what brings me happiness, which is what I realized that night. Why am I gonna stop it? This to me is a hobby that I genuinely love. Like, this week I'm posting videos every single day, right? So when I'm done with this, I'm gonna edit today's video so I can post it tonight at 9 o'clock. So then I can edit this video so I can drop it tomorrow. This is what I just like to do. Who knows if down the road I'll be able to work with somebody who has like a script and they're like, hey, we like your vision, so we want you to shoot this, who knows, a music video, or hey, a movie or a short film. I'm down for it. A documentary. Who knows what this hobby of mine is gonna bring me in the future. It's gonna take time, but time is what I have. So if in the meantime I can share with you my thoughts, opinions, experiences with you, I don't see why not. In the meantime, I know I have responsibilities. I have bills that need to be paid. I need to work. So I transitioned from having all these jobs to focusing on finishing school so I can get a job that will pay me enough where I can live off one job instead of having 3 different jobs and a business on the side. I can focus on what I love to do, and that's this. Then comes 2017. After taking summer classes and filling up as many classes as I could per semester, I graduated, got my bachelor's, and was just still living a carefree life. Then, on this one random Thursday, I want to say, summer's coming to end, and I meet this girl, and she happens to be the one. I say that with a smile because I would have never believed, looking where I'm at right now, right here, that all this was gonna happen. I truly believe that the saying, there's somebody there for everyone. Then 2018 comes, I turn 24. A few months in the year, I make a big move and move out of my parents' house. And throughout that whole year, my relationship with my parents couldn't be any better. It took me, let's say, a good year to restore that and to just understand them. At this point in my life, I get a job in the field that I graduated in. I drop all these part-times, I drop the business, I drop everything. And I said, you know what, I'm putting all my attention in this one job. I got an HR position because I went to school and got my degree in business management. And I always thought that HR was the field that I wanted to go into. Little did I know, being HR was like being a babysitter to grown adults. 2 weeks in, I wanted out. I was working 6 days a week from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it was just ridiculous. I got to that point where I said, you know what, I have to leave. So I got out of there after a month. That job was Coke Foods, and it was dealing with a plant that had about a little bit over 700 employees. Who knows, maybe if I did HR in a different company, it would have been a different story, but who knows. I like shift career paths, went into a different one, which is the one that I'm still in. I like what I'm doing right now. So now it's January 21st, 2019. And I finally turned 25 years old, a quarter century. And to those of you who have followed this channel, you can see my celebrations of birthdays from, I believe, the age of 23, 24, and 25. And recently dropped earlier this week, my 26th birthday. I try to make my birthday an event. I try to celebrate it with the people who I care about and have fun. I can safely say that from that moment, you guys know the rest of the story. Now that we're at the end of this series, I can tell you that I grew a new appreciation for my parents, because listening to the story of like those first 10 years and what they were going through in life to, you know, what they did for me, the small things that you don't realize because you're living at it and you're a kid and you just don't understand the bigger picture until you're older and you look back and you're like, wow, they did all that for me. To my parents, I just want to say, Ma, gracias por todo, y pa, a usted también. Gracias por todo lo que hicieron para mí en mi vida. I don't think there's a way for me to thank them. I know that I can love them. I can't wait till the day that I have a baby so I can introduce them to their grandparents. And I hope that they instill some of those lessons they did to me, to my child in the future. Because now looking back at it, it wasn't that my parents were strict. They just were looking out for me. And as a kid, you don't understand. But me looking back at it now, it's like they did a lot. Not only for me, but my sister as well. The one message that I want to share with people is life is about taking risks. So just go for it.